Good afternoon from the Ozarks. I'm Jonathan Daniel with Real Broker in North Central Arkansas. And recently I had a client ask me a question that I figured if one person has this question, then probably multiple people have the same question. And that is, who an agent works for. In Arkansas, there's basically three types of real estate agents. There's a seller's agent or listing agent who sells a property for the seller. There's a buyer's agent who works for the buyer to find them the right type of property that meets their needs. And then lastly, you have a dual agent who works sort of as a middleman between the two for that transaction. In any of these cases, per Arkansas law, an agent is required to explain who it is that they work for, who it is they represent. You can see the form right here that explains the agency representation: buyer's agent, seller's agent, and dual agent. In any case, an unrepresented seller or buyer should not disclose to an agent of the other side any information that's confidential that might put them at a disadvantage, because whatever information that client receives from the unrepresented seller or buyer has to be passed along to who it is that agent represents, for their benefit. In there, they owe them obedience, loyalty, disclosure, accountability, reasonable care and service, and confidentiality. But in a dual agency situation, the one thing that they do lose is loyalty, because you can't be loyal to a buyer and a seller if you're working both sides. There can be benefits to this in that instead of having a seller talk to the selling agent, talk to the buying agent, then talk to the buyer, you've got 4 different people possibly in this deal. Now you only have 3, because you have a buyer, a seller, and you have a dual agent in between. But how can that dual agent be loyal to the seller or to the buyer? In that situation, confidentiality as far as the price, terms, and motivation that any buyer or seller would have to be kept confidential. But what is not confidential is going to be information as far as the property itself, the structures. Honesty is going to be given across for both parties. In this, an agent is required to tell the other party who it is that they represent up front in the beginning. That way they're not disadvantaging anybody on this. You can choose to have a buyer's agent, you can choose to have a seller's agent, or if you're okay with it, you can also have a dual agent. Your typical situation of dual agent is going to be, let's say I'm selling a property for my neighbor. I put it up for sale, I list it, somebody finds it online and calls me directly. I have a contract with the seller to get them everything that they want out of this deal. You as a buyer should not tell me your price, terms, and motivation, because it could put you at a disadvantage when I go tell my sellers this is what you're interested in. So you need to kind of keep those cards at hand. Another way, or an analogy to explain this, is let's say you buy a brand new car at a car dealership. When it's time to get the oil changed, the tires rotated, any minor maintenance, do you take it back to the place that you bought it from? Not necessarily. What if you have a mechanic that you love and trust, or maybe even a family member? What if you have somebody that you know that does a good job at a reasonable price? Would you not choose them? It's not much different than a real estate agent. Somebody may be selling a property as a listing agent, but that doesn't mean that you have to use them. You can go get your own agent, a buyer's agent in Arkansas, to say, I want you to represent me to get my best interest so we can get this deal done. It's no different than you calling your mechanic and saying, fix my car. You can find your own agent to work for you that's going to give you the loyalty that you're asking for. So in Arkansas, 3 types of agents: a buyer's agent, a seller's agent, and a dual agency. But in any of those cases, your real estate agent should be disclosing who it is that they work for, so you know. The more you know, the more power you have, the more you can make a better informed decision. If you have any questions about this, you can get a hold of me, Jonathan Daniel at Real Broker in North Central Arkansas. Y'all be blessed and have a good day. I hope this helps.